Good evening. So it is now Tuesday the 3rd of September, which means we are officially into marathon month, which is exciting but terrifying at the same time. So today I just wanted to record a little video because I'm actually heading up to Newcastle tomorrow for the Great North Run. Excuse the attire, I've been out running this evening and I've just not showered yet, hence the running gear still on. So this evening I just did a little pre-race speed session. So it was 1.5 km warm-up, followed by 10 minutes tempo at half marathon pace, followed by 5 times 35 seconds at 5k pace, and then a 1.5 km cool down. I was pleasantly surprised at how okay my legs felt, given that I'd run 32 kilometers at the weekend. When I started this evening I thought, oh no, my legs are so tired, but actually I hit the tempo pace really easily, so that was good. And then I've just spent probably the last hour since getting back from that run. Got back from my run, and then I've just been doing some packing for Great North Run because, as I said, I'm heading off to Newcastle tomorrow. I'm going up with my parents for the weekend. This is going to be my last year for the moment running Great North Run, because my membership expires. I took out memberships, so this is my 4th time running it, and I think I'm Great North Runned out now. Great North Run is a little bit different for me, I suppose, because I actually went to uni in Newcastle, so Newcastle is kind of my second home, so it's kind of nice to go back up there every now and then and just sort of relive my student days. Not that I was particularly much of a student in terms of going out, etc., but it's just nice to go back and sort of go back to the place that was home for me for 3 years and kind of shaped me into who I am today, I guess. So it's nice to go back there and go and run that. But this is my last Great North Run for that reason, but also it's just so expensive. Like, accommodation costs are eye-watering for the weekend. I'm fortunate enough that my mum and dad have got motorhomes, so we're going to go and camp up there in the motorhome for the weekend. So that's nice to go away with mum and dad, and nice that they come along to support me, regardless or not whether they say they have much choice in the matter, but it's nice that they come along with me. So I've just been packing my stuff for Great North Run, so I thought I would kind of share some of the stuff that I've got. Try to keep it as minimal as possible, but it's really difficult packing for races because I always take a little bit more just in case I change my mind, the weather changes, and also I feel like I just end up packing double the amount than if you're not running, because I've actually got 3 runs to do while I'm away. So I've got a 25-minute shakeout to do on Thursday, and then I've got Great North 5k on Friday evening, followed by Great North Run on Sunday. It's a little bit, 3 runs to do, so it's quite a bit really to take, but here's some of the bits I'm taking. So we'll start off just what I've got over here. First things first, this is just a massage, basically like a little bit of a handheld foam roller, really. It's just convenient to take when travelling. It doesn't really take up any space. So I've got this. Whether I use it, I don't know, but take it with me, so I have got it. And then I have also got this. I bought this last week to start having a look into some of the Berlin bits and pieces we might like to do. I'm going out to Berlin with mum and dad again, and we've all been to Berlin before. I've been twice, mum and dad have been like 3 times, so we do kind of know Berlin, but none of us have been for probably the best part of 10-12 years. So things might change, but also this will just remind us what is out there, so we can start looking through that. In terms of shoes I'm taking, so I've got 2 pairs of shoes I'm taking. I've got my race shoes, so I'm going to wear these ones. They are my Adios Pro 3s. They are well worn now, but they still got life in them. They're comfortable. I've got a few pairs of Adios Pro 3s, but these are the ones that I know are fine. I've worn them for a 10k race in August. It was fine. So I've got them. I'm not entirely sure whether I'm definitely going to wear them, if I'm honest. But yeah, I'll take them, and then I've got them. So add your spray freeze. And then down here in this bag, I have got a couple of things. My Brooks Ghost, so all the runs, the other runs in Badoo, so that shakeout run and the 5k on Friday night, I'm going to wear these. But also if I decide for any reason I want to wear these on race day, I know I can quite happily run a half marathon these. So got those are my race shoes. In terms of like fueling and other bits like that, so I've got a few bits. I suppose we'll start with what I've got in here. So hack when I travel is I will pretty much always carry my energy gels in a Tupperware. Yes, I know it's more space, and when you've used them it's then empty space, but a few years ago, in fact it was when I did Great North Run 2 years ago, I had a massive disaster where my energy gel split in my bag, and I didn't realise that until race day, which meant that when I put them in my pocket and started running, I got one to get one out, it was all sticky, covered in gel. I had gel all down my leg, gel, like a pocket completely full of gel. It was absolutely disgusting. So after that mistake, I now always travel with them in a Tupperware. That way I know they're not going to get squished and it will be fine. So in here I've got 3 packets of these Welch's fruit snacks. These are sort of a just in case I fancy them. I'll probably take 1 pack to sort of eat on the start line while I'm waiting, and also a pack for Friday night before the 5k race I'm doing, so I've got them. I've also then got a variety of SIS Beta Fuel gels. I've got one for approximately every 30 minutes. These are currently probably going to be my race fuel of choice for Berlin. This will probably be the best trial of them in a race situation, but I get on quite well with them. So got several of these. I've actually got, I think I need 4 for race day. It's about every 4 kilometers, but it'll probably be slightly less because I should be running quicker. So I think it'll be about 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. I think I'm going to take a 5th one. So I've got one at 20 kilometers just as a little boost, and kind of because Newcastle Great North Run is actually kind of a little bit of a training run for a marathon. So I'm going to sort of act as if I was fueling for a longer run than a half marathon. But if I feel okay at 20, I'm probably not going to bother. But I've then got one, and then I've got 1 spare. I've got a couple of Morton Solid 225 bars. These are for the start line, because if you've ever done Great North Run before and you're a slower runner, you won't start until like 12 o'clock. So that is basically for the start line, so I can have effectively a second breakfast while I'm waiting on the start. And then I've got some electrolytes. So these are a slightly different electrolyte to usual. These are the Pure Sport Raspberry Salt electrolytes. I'm going to try using these on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday after the race. So I've got them. And then I've also just randomly got an SIS energy bar. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I've got it if I want it. So that's kind of my main fueling. And then I have also got, in terms of fueling, a bottle of Lucozade. So on Sunday morning I'll probably sip on that. So in here, in this little pot, I've got some Tailwind Recovery shake protein, whatever you call it. So that is for Sunday. So I'll give this to my parents, and they'll bring this to the finish line for me, and I will then have post-race fuel basically. So that is in that bag. And then last thing actually in this bag, I've got a throwaway jumper for the start line if I want it. And then lastly, I've got 2 more packing tubes. I do have a few more running bits elsewhere, so I've got my headphones, I've also got the soft flasks for the hydration belt I'm going to show you, and a few other bits scattered around, but they're already packed in bags and I can't be bothered to get them out. So you've got what you've got basically. So we have got, I'm basically just going to show you a few running bits. So I've got a few sports bras. So I've got these. These are, I don't know if you can see, the Adidas Berlin Marathon shorts. They are a little bit shorter than I would usually like, but they seem okay walking around the house in them, in terms of riding up, but the true test is going to be taking them on a small run. So what I'm going to do is, on my shakeout run, I've got like my 20-25 minute run, I'm going to take them wear them on that so that I can actually see how they are. Race day, I have got some Versus socks. I'm kind of undecided on tops for race day at this point, but I'm kind of want to wear this one, which is my Soar one that I've bought, because I was kind of hoping to wear this for Berlin as well. So I'm kind of trying to use it as a little bit of a dress rehearsal effectively for Berlin. So the goal is that I will wear that. And then my shorts for race day, I have got these ones. These are the Sweaty Betty power shorts. Yeah, that's my race day outfit. This is sort of my random odds and ends in terms of race stuff. So I've got an inhaler, a Squares bar, some sweets, because I might decide I want to take some sweets with me on the race day. Vaseline. I smother my toes in this so I don't really get blisters. Tissues, because I always get a runny nose, and also because Portaloos. And then I have also got my naked band. This is what I'm going to use for carrying my fuel. I'm also going to put some water in there. I'm undecided whether I'm going to carry 1 bottle of water or 2, but I can fit 2 in there plus the gels, because I wore this for New York and it was absolutely fine. So I've got that, and then I have got my 2XU cap. So yeah, as I said, I just wanted to share kind of some of the bits I was taking with me. Obviously I haven't showed you absolutely everything. As I said, I feel like when you go running and you go away for races, you just end up packing like all the running stuff you won't, and that's what it feels like. I think I have got a bit better at it, but yeah, there's still a lot to remember. So my goal is to try and take you with me. My parents, who will probably end up watching this video, keep saying, oh, you've not released a new YouTube video for ages. So they may well feature in this video. But yeah, I would take you with me to Newcastle and Great North Run. I wanted to come back on here post Great North Run, just to kind of recap on it, and yeah, just to, I suppose, remind myself of this in the next couple of weeks when I'm probably going to need that reassurance. So we are now less than 3 weeks away from Berlin, about 2.5 weeks, like 19 days, something like that, which is, yeah, is exactly 19 days, which is kind of terrifying, but also exciting. I think I've got to the point where I'm sort of ready for it now. And yeah, it's been a long training block, I guess, but at the same time, not a necessarily unenjoyable training block. So I'll say that now before I change my mind again. But yeah, in general, it's been a pretty good training block. So just recapping to this weekend just gone, I ran my 4th Great North Run, and it is going to be my final Great North Run for a little while, which I mentioned previously. It's a long way to go for a race. It's very expensive to go there. I'm very lucky in the sense that Mum and Dad have a motorhome, and that is the cheapest accommodation option that we have actually found. So that seemed to work quite well. And then yeah, the other reason is I think I'm just Great North Run out. But that said, I've kind of got a little bit of, I'd love to do that again right now, but I think I've now had my piece of Great North Run for a while, and I'm kind of happy to let it go for a time being. That's not to say I'm never going to do it again, because I may well do it again in the future. As I said before, Newcastle it's a nice place for me. It was my second home. I still kind of class it to be my second home, really, even though I've now bought a house somewhere else that's not in home. It played a big part of my life being in Newcastle, so that's why I've kind of enjoyed going back the last 4 years, and why I wouldn't rule out going back again at some point. And also I really want to do the Great North 10k, which runs through Newcastle, but again, just the prices for accommodation get so expensive for that race that yeah, it's a long way to go and very expensive to go just for a 10k, but I'm not ruling it out, maybe one day. But anyway, so we headed up to, it was around Sherwood Forest on Wednesday evening last week, and we stayed at a campsite along the way up there. I can't remember what it was called, but I'll put it in here. And yeah, it was quite a nice little campsite. We went for a little walk on the Wednesday evening, and then I went out for a run on Thursday morning, which I filmed a little bit of, so again I'll put that in here. Good morning, it's Thursday morning, and we are on the way up to Newcastle. Currently in Sherwood Forest-ish, I think. I don't know. Stopped here on the night last night. It's a bit of a long way up to Newcastle otherwise. Just out for a little 25-minute shakeout this morning, and who turned autumn back on? Yeah, so just out for a little run. I decided to wear my new Berlin Marathon shorts. Unfortunately, I think they're going to have to be gym shorts only. Why do they make shorts too short that they just ride up? But yeah, they'll be alright for this run, but we'll see. Anyway, keep going. Currently running through a field where there's no Robbie's house, which makes me a little bit nervous, because I don't really want to be taken up by a cow. And then we headed on up to Newcastle on Thursday via a couple of outlet shops, because that's what me and Mum do best. So we went up to Newcastle, got up to Newcastle on Thursday late afternoon, wasn't that late, and set up at the campsite. So we stayed at it's called Old Hartley Caravan and Motorhome Club site. If you are doing Great North Run and that is at all an option for you, if you have got a caravan or a motorhome or a camper van, I do recommend that campsite. It's a little bit out of Newcastle. It's about an hour on the bus out from town, about 20 minutes via Uber, but it's quite well serviced. There's a bus stop about a 5-minute walk from the campsite that gets you straight into Newcastle. You can literally stay on the bus, gets you in. It's really nice. When the weather's nice, it's a nice campsite. Unfortunately this year we had pretty awful weather while we were up there, so it wasn't the nicest of campsites in that weather, but it is a nice campsite. So as I said, if you go up to Newcastle and you've got a camper van, a caravan or a motorhome, that is definitely a good option for somewhere to stay. And then yeah, so on Thursday we got up there, and on Friday we headed on into Newcastle for the day. Kind of reassuring to know that I still know my way around Newcastle. As I said, I did live there for 3 years, so I'd be worried if I didn't know my way around. We sort of wandered a few of the shops, got a couple of bits that we wanted to. We went up the castle. I said to Mum and Dad I'd like to take them to the castle because there's a really nice view from the top of it. Again, I went there while I was at uni, and they were sort of they had their Heritage Lottery Fund for like developing the castle when I was up there, and it was sort of in the process of being sorted effectively, and it is now kind of properly open. So yeah, it was nice to go there and see the castle, and again, nice views from Newcastle, from the top of the castle. And then we wandered down to the quayside. There's a nice little cafe bar kind of place called the Hooch, which we used last year and also again this year, where we kind of camped out at for a couple of hours. Really friendly in there, really nice location. Mum and Dad got a few drinks. I had one drink because I didn't want to give myself a stitch pre 5k race. So went there, watched some of the elite races before getting ready to run the 5k myself. And then I ran the Great North 5k. It's my third time running the Great North 5k. It should have been my fourth time, but one of those years was when the Queen died, so they cancelled the run. But I did the Great North 5k, and I did it in 31 minutes 4 seconds, which I'm happy about. My only goal was to run a course PB. So I ran quite a good course PB by about 4.5 minutes, I think it was. And actually the fact that I ran the pace I did over 6k on tired marathon legs, because I haven't really tapered this last week, and without super shoes, without any real preparation for a 5k race, makes me actually kind of excited what I could achieve at a 5k race now. So yeah, I came in at 31 minutes and I got some really nice pictures of that. And then from that we went down to Hard Rock Cafe, had some dinner at Hard Rock Cafe before getting an Uber back to the campsite. I think the Uber cost about £30. I mean, it was a Friday night going from like the main like nightlife spot of Newcastle, I guess, back to the campsite, which is a reasonable distance away. So we did that, and then Saturday we went to Tynemouth. Had a little walk around Tynemouth, which was really nice. I hadn't really been there, like I obviously kind of knew Tynemouth, but I haven't really explored Tynemouth, so that was good to have a look around there before heading back. And of course having spaghetti bolognese for dinner, because that's the drill. Pre-race meal for me is spaghetti bolognese. So yeah, that was good. And then race day. Sunday bought race day for Great North Run, and I am so happy with how it went. I actually managed to run a personal best, a half marathon personal best, by about 3 minutes, which was just so good. Like, I didn't really go into it expecting a personal best. I knew it was possibly possible, but I didn't want to get my hopes set on running a PB. As I said, I went into it without tapering. I have got marathon mileage in my legs, and I didn't really expect to run it the time I did. So that was so good. But anyway, I'll backtrack. So I got the bus into Newcastle. It's a bit foggy this morning. It is 7:45 and I'm just heading to the bus stop to hopefully get the 8 o'clock bus into Newcastle. Take about an hour and then be on my way to the start. From the campsite, stayed on the bus for the whole way. I actually bought one of the wristbands, the Great North Run wristband, the travel one. It's £6, which gives you unlimited transport in the ferry, the metro and the buses within Newcastle and Northumberland. So I used my wristband to get on the bus, although that was a little bit hairy to start with because the driver said he knew nothing about the wristbands. Thankfully there were 3 or 4 of us from the campsite who got on at that point, who all had the wristbands. So I basically turned around to him and explained it, and I said, well, if you don't know what they are, I suggest you try and ring someone because you're going to see a lot of them this morning on this route. So he was a bit like, oh, whatever. And before long, that bus was completely rammed. So last year I got the 7:20 bus into town, which got me in so early. There was a lot of waiting around. But then this time round I got the 8 o'clock bus. And put it this way, I don't think I'd have wanted to get a bus much later than that, because by the time I'd got into town it was about 9 o'clock, and then I had a warm-up run to do. So as I mentioned, I'm still in the middle of marathon training, so my coach wanted me to run at least 28 kilometers on Sunday. So the way we looked at that was to do 2 kilometer warm-up, then the race, and then another 5k in the evening, which was a lot, I won't lie, and it took a lot to get myself out for that last 5k. But yeah, I got into Newcastle, and actually having a little bit of local knowledge here helped, because I wasn't really too sure where to run, but I took myself up into Leazes Park, which is like a 3-minute run from the bus station, and did a couple of loops of Leazes Park, and completed my 2k. I think I confused a few people running around with my number on, like obviously running the Great North Run, but obviously running beforehand. So I think that confused a few people, including a few ladies who didn't know where they were going to the start line, who were like, oh, you're in green too. If we follow you, we'll get to the start. I'm like, yes, but you might want to just go that way because I'm doing a couple of kilometers in the park beforehand. So I kind of pointed out the way that they needed to go for the start. And then did my 2k and then got to the start area. Now I won't lie, the start seemed a little bit more organised this year than last year, because last year was just horrendous. I didn't have to worry too much last year about queuing for toilets or anything like that because I got there so early. But the problem came where they were directing everyone in from one side of the road, which meant that there were massive queues of people still trying to get into their pen as they started, which meant it just took forever to even cross the start line. So they improved that this year by having like separate hubs for the colours. So they were directing different people to different places to enter the route from a different way based on your colour, basically. I'm not sure if that made any sense, but it meant that all the green runners were in one place, all the pink runners were in one place, all the orange runners were in one place, which meant that you didn't have multiple colours merging and using one set of toilets. So I think it improved things in some ways. So I queued for the toilet once, maybe got through to the front in like 10 minutes, and then I decided I needed another wee, so I joined a back of another queue, and that queue took a lot longer. I think because by that point there were so many more people using the toilets, but also one thing that wound me up was there were people who had gone to the start area with their family, and their family were using the toilets, and like, you're not just talking like one person, some of them had like 4 or 5 people with them and they were all using the toilet, and I was like, come on, like there's runners who are trying to get into the start pens and you're like holding us up basically. So I didn't like that very much. But I got into the start pen, wasn't very busy when I got into the start pen, sort of made my way in, maybe it was about halfway into my letter. I was green G, so I was at the back of the green wave, and quite honestly I didn't feel like I was waiting very long this year. I think I timed it quite well. Got in the start pen, had a little bit of my Morton bar, And then it was basically time to warm up.
Give us a wave, everybody. Wave your arms in the air. Woohoo! Wow.
And then the race started. So yeah, I don't feel like I was queuing for too long this year, which was so much better than last year. And then it started. I was very close to starting the race and it absolutely chucked it down. Thankfully I had my poncho. I took a disposable poncho with me, so I put that on as I was waiting to cross the start line, and kind of pulled it off a few minutes before I started. But I don't think I realised how wet it actually was until I've seen like pictures and things back that I took at that start, because like my hat is soaked through. I remember being really irritated by my hair, because my hair was obviously really wet and it was just sticking to me. And it was like sticking to my shoulder and everything, and that annoyed me to start with. So I remember that. But there are some photos which I'll put in of it being quite soggy at the start. But in terms of the actual race, I'm pretty proud of it, I won't lie. As said, gone into it, no expectations, marathon legs. My only goal was to come in quicker than I did last year, which was 2 hours 35, and this time I did it in 2 hours 18. So I basically got like a 17-minute course personal best, and I also got a 3-minute half marathon personal best. So I remember starting it and getting to the climb out of Newcastle, and every single time I've run that bit I've ended up walking it. But this time round I just felt so strong. Like I was already running quicker than my coach had told me to, but I felt really controlled. That pace didn't feel too much, like it felt manageable. So I sort of settled into about 6:20 to 6:30 per kilometre, which, as I said, wasn't like a ridiculous pace for me. And I managed those hills so well, and at that point I thought, you know what, I've come into this the best prepared I've ever been for a Great North Run. I've had unfinished business, I like to say, with Great North Run over the last few years. I've had various like niggles, and I've been ill in the lead up to it, thanks to like busy summers at work. But there's been changes at work this year which meant I've not had to work as much. In terms, obviously I still work, but I've not ended up doing extra work or longer days, and basically I've been able to look after myself a little bit more through work this year, and preserve my running, my days for my running, which has helped me so much, but also moving closer to work over the last couple of months has also helped in that respect too. But as I said, it was the strongest I've felt running up those hills. Like I couldn't believe how easily I was going up the hills, and just how comfortable the pace I was holding felt. Like the miles just seemed to like tick by, and I had no idea like how, but before I knew it I was at like halfway, and that was just crazy. Like I don't even know where it went, but I was obviously enjoying myself so much that it was great. I didn't have to do too much people dodging at that point. Obviously I had to do a little bit, but not too bad. My energy gels were going down nicely. One thing which was really nice that I hadn't really tried was I didn't have to really have any water with them. So that was good. And yeah, I think about 8 miles in I did start to flag a little bit. I think I started to regret my pace at that point, but I did more or less manage to hold on. 10-11 miles was probably the worst point. If you've ever done Great North Run, at 11 miles you hit like this sort of steady uphill, which actually this year was the first year that I wasn't as aware of how much of an uphill it was, which again is good, shows that all my training has paid off. But yeah, you hit this like 10-11 mile uphill, but all I kept telling myself was just get to the top and you got that downhill. So that was really, really good, that I did, you know, that I managed to more or less hold on at that point. I also knew that I was on for a PB, which I think spurred me on and kind of managed to keep me going. And then I got down the hill down to the coast. If you've ever done it, you'll know what I mean. You basically go down this really nice downhill. It's a bit of a false finish because you see the sea and think, oh, I've done it, but actually you've still got another mile to go. You only hit 12 miles when you get to the bottom of that hill, so you've still got another mile to run along the coast. That last mile was quite possibly the most stressful mile of the race for me. I was overtaking people at that point. The road was quite narrow, and I just found it really hard work trying to dodge people. Like, you sort of found someone who'd walking, they'd be walking in the middle, so you'd have to go around them, only to get around them to find that the person who was just in front of them wasn't going as quick as you were, so having to dodge them. So that last mile I found very, very stressful. There were several times actually I did almost not like trip over someone because of just people not running quite as fast as I was. And yeah, that was really, really hard work, that last mile, but I did it. I'll insert some pictures in here as well, but I came in, as I said, 2 hours 18 minutes and 19 seconds. So as I said, it's about a 3-minute personal best for me over the half marathon distance, which I'm so proud of. The fact that I've achieved that in the middle of a marathon block, like not even the middle of a marathon block, towards the end of the marathon block, just, I can't believe it. Like, I would never have imagined that I would have PB'd on Sunday, nor to the extent that I did. So yeah, I'm so happy that I did that, because I think in some ways that is a massive confidence boost ahead of Berlin to get to that point. Yeah, 3 weeks out from marathon to PB in a half marathon just kind of makes me a little bit more excited for Berlin now in some ways, but also absolutely terrified at the same time. So yeah, I got to the finish, kind of gutted, because as I crossed the finish line I saw my phone. So as I came down the hill I checked my phone to just see whether mum and dad had messaged me to see whether they told me whether they were going to be on like the finish straight, but I didn't have any messages from them at that point because the phone signal is awful. So I didn't have any messages from them, so I didn't think they'd made it to that finish. But then turns out they had made it to along that finish straight. They did see me, which is good. I didn't see them, but that was nice. Again, I'm completely oblivious. Dad got a little bit of a photo of me, which I'll put in. But then yeah, got to the finish line, collected my goodies, and yeah, went to find mum and dad, which finding them was actually relatively straightforward. So that was good. We didn't really linger at the finish line just because we knew that the longer we left it to get back to, well, a couple of reasons. The longer we left it to leave the finish area, the longer it would have taken to get back because of waiting for the ferry, but also we were all very aware that I had this extra mileage to try and get done. So we headed straight from the finish area to the South Shields ferry, or the Shields ferry, and we waited about 50 minutes for a boat, which actually wasn't bad at all. By the time we got to the start of the queue and you look back, the queue was a lot longer than it was at the point we joined it, so I think we timed that really, really well. So we got the boat back across to North Shields, and then we got a bus back into like towards Whitley Bay before then changing bus again. It maybe took us about 2 hours to get back from the finish area, maybe 3 hours. A lot of that was actually, the worst bit was actually waiting for the buses when we got back into the other side, and I was getting really, really cold at this point. I didn't appreciate how cold I was going to be post race. So I kind of regretted not taking more layers or putting more layers in the bags that mum and dad bought for me at the end, because there was a lot of standing around, and it's safe to say by the end of that I was getting very, very, very cold. I also hadn't really had anything to eat. Obviously I'd had my breakfast, my porridge pot, I'd had a Morton bar, and then I had a packet of crisps when mum and dad met me, and I also had a chocolate milkshake, and I was sipping on electrolytes, had a few sweets, but that was all I'd had. We got back to the campsite maybe like 5:15, and by about 6 o'clock I managed to drag myself back out for a run. I just did 2.5 kilometers out and 2.5 kilometers back, and that was a real struggle to get myself out. And it's safe to say I was not friends with my coach at that point, asking me to do that extra mileage, because my legs hurt, I was cold, I was hungry, I was tired, but I'm proud I did it. I'm very proud I did it, because actually in some ways that's great training, because I ran the extra 5k on very, very tired legs, and I literally had like the biggest plate of dinner you will ever have seen when I got back that evening to the motorhome, because I was just so hungry. But yeah, before I went out of the extra 5k, I changed my socks, put my other shoes on, changed my top, actually put my Great North Run top on, because my feet were very wet from, and my socks were very wet from running, and my shoes are still wet, they're still trying to dry them downstairs, but yeah, I did it, and I did that extra mileage as well, which I'm unbelievably proud of. So all in all, yeah, Great North Run, I'm happy that I've done it for now. As one of the people, one of my running friends says, if you're a runner, I challenge you to do Great North Run at least once in your life, because it will change you. It's the biggest half marathon, I think, in the world. Like, it's huge. There's like 60,000 runners, and it's just so big, and there's just nothing like it. You just can't compare. Like, the people on the course is just incredible. Like, even down the motorways and like dual carriageways, there's people out cheering you. I was worried this year that the rain might have put people off, but honestly you wouldn't have known. And there's so many people out cheering people on, and yeah, it's just a great weekend. As I said, it can be very expensive. It's not really a PB race, for a couple of reasons. It's so busy, congestion, there's just so many people running it that it is hard work to PB, but also it's very undulating. Yes, it is net downhill. I think officially any half marathon world record from Great North Run wouldn't stand, or like any records wouldn't stand, because it is net downhill, so it doesn't count, I think. But it is hilly. Like, there are a lot of ups in that as well, and it is hard work. I will try and put an elevation graph in here as well. But yeah, I have made my peace with Great North Run. I feel like I've given it my best shot for now, and I've come out of this latest Great North Run feeling proud of myself, and feeling proud of the marathon block so far. I even had the voice message I got back from my coach was that he was proud of me, which, you know, just means a lot. As I said, getting into the end of the marathon training block and getting to that point, I just couldn't ask for more. So now, where do we go? Where do we go from now? It is 19 days to Berlin. I've got a couple more runs to do this week. I've got a longer run to do at the weekend. That is 27 to 28 kilometres. So it's still a reasonably long run. Don't get me wrong. It is still a long way to run. But But then get through this weekend and then the taper starts and we will be on the way. As my coach said, now is just about getting to that start line. It's not about trying to clock anything more. It's about being sensible. It's about just doing what we need to do, ticking things over and getting to the start line in one piece, because as my coach said, I'm in such a great shape right now. Like it is on for Berlin. So yeah, I will keep taking you along with me, and yeah, we will see how Berlin goes, and the next couple of weeks even. Let's do this.